Now we will be discussing the December 14 daily current affairs. Today we mainly have 6 important topics to discuss, which include the SANKALP project, India BPO promotion scheme IBPS, merchant discount rate or MDR, then the Organization of Islamic Cooperation OIC and the G5 Sahel counterterrorism force, then we have INS KALVARI. Let us start with the SANKALP project. SANKALP stands for Skills Acquisition and Knowledge Awareness for Livelihood Promotion. Basically, it's a skill development as well as a program by the government in order to impart market relevant training or skill development in order to the workforce of the country. And recently, why this SANKALP program was in news was basically due to the fact that recently the Union government have signed a loan agreement with the World Bank in order to get $250 million assistance for the SANKALP program. And again, this SANKALP program, in addition to providing and setting up all the skill development programs, the SANKALP program, it will be setting up various national bodies in order to regulate vocational education as well as training. Then the India BPO promotion scheme or the IBPS program is a program that was initiated under the Digital India initiative. Basically, under this program, the government aims to incentivize business process outsourcing as well as IT enabled services within India, as it is a very powerful sector for the Indian economy. So this kind of operations across the country will be strengthened by this India BPO operation scheme, and the implementation agency of this particular scheme is the Software Technology Parks of India, which is an autonomous society under the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. And the government right now, why this was frequently appeared in the news was basically due to the fact that now the government is trying to expand the ambit of this particular IBPS scheme, or the government is trying to expand it mostly to the rural areas as well as the government recently have decided to encourage greater participation of women, especially housewives, within this particular India BPO promotion scheme. So that was why the India BPO promotion scheme was recently in the news. There is a program by the Indian government in order to promote the BPO sector as well as the IT enabled services sector. Now, merchant discount rate is basically a fee that a merchant has to pay to a bank for every debit card as well as credit card transactions. And there has been demands by the merchants that the government should abolish this MDR in order to further promote digital payment space. This MDR, it is split between the bank which has issued the debit or credit card as well as the lender which have set up that POS terminal or point of sale terminal, and the payment gateways like MasterCard, Visa, etc., which are providing these kind of services. So there has been demands by merchants in order to abolish this MDR, to which the RBI recently clarified its position, or it has declared that if this MDR is abolished, then the banks will not be having any incentives in order to promote this kind of digital payments and all. So the RBI has clarified its position that it will not be good in order to completely abolish this MDR. Then an organization that frequently appeared in news recently was the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. Now recently that Donald Trump has declared Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, the Organization of Islamic Cooperation have conducted a meeting, and in that meeting it have said that it wants the world leaders to recognize that the occupied East Jerusalem, which is occupied by Israel, will be the capital of a future Palestinian state. So OIC wants to recognize the Palestinian authority on the East Jerusalem area. Now, what is the Organization of Islamic Cooperation? The Organization of Islamic Cooperation has 57 member countries from around 4 continents, and the OIC describes itself as the collective voice of the Muslim world. And OIC again has taken up the Kashmir issue, and it has often made resolutions against India on the Kashmir issue. And from the prelims point of view, another thing to note down with respect to OIC is that the headquarters of OIC or the General Secretariat of OIC is located in Jeddah in Saudi Arabia. And a new security cooperation organization that now appeared within the news was the G5 Sahel force or the G5 Sahel counterterrorism force. The G5 Sahel counterterrorism force is a security alliance or a military force that was jointly formed by 5 countries which are located on the Sahel region of Africa or the Western Africa's Sahel region. These 5 countries include Mauritania, Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger and Chad. And these countries, right now they are doing an operation called the Operation Barkhane along with the French assistance. So France was basically the colonial power at that particular territory. So French, on that particular area, France have a force called Barkhane force, which consists of around 3,000 military personnel. So along with the assistance of this Barkhane force, the G5 Sahel counterterrorism force, which consists of these 5 countries, is doing a counterterrorism operation against the jihadistic groups on that particular region. Now recently, why this appeared in news was due to the fact that now Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates has declared that they will be providing financial as well as technical and military assistance for these 5 African countries in order to help them or in order to aid them in their fight against the radical jihadistic groups. And this has to be seen on the background of the Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman taking an initiative in order to formulate the Islamic military alliance to fight terrorism, and it is trying to maintain a common united front against the global jihadi networks. Then INS KALVARI was also in news. INS KALVARI, basically, this is a diesel electric submarine, and the speciality of INS KALVARI is that it has been described as India's first modern conventional submarine. And the project was completed with French collaboration, and recently the Indian Prime Minister has inducted the INS KALVARI to the naval forces. Okay, that's all about the December 14 daily current affairs. For a much more detailed analysis, you can download our prelims current affairs material, which will be posted below this video.